And I'm gonna follow her lower lash line. Look straight, please. I'm gonna follow her lower lash line and try to do this. So stretch a little bit, and then so the next what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this particular Extreme Eyes Longwear Kohl. I will start prepping my model's eyes. So I am just simply going to use this particular product right here. This is the MAC NC30. This is the product that has been left from before. I'm not taking any new product, just using that and trying to spread it out. Again, I'm just using a flat brush. It's a very random flat brush, came with an eyeshadow palette. And I'm using the least amount of product that I can with this particular brush, and you can see how I'm trying to just spread it out. Especially since we're going to do a cut crease, we are going to use the concealer on top of the powder products. So if you use a very thick layer to start with, then the eye is going to just feel very heavy for the client. So I'm just using a small sponge like this to pull her eye up and then work under her eyebrow. So I'm now using this Bobbi Brown full coverage brush just to brush off this particular product, and if there was anything extra that would come out. However, we've used such a thin layer that there's hardly anything extra on the lid already. So at this point you want to tell your client not to open their eyes, because the moment they start opening their eye, it will crease because it's not been set with powder. And once it starts creasing, then you want to do this particular step again. So you remove all the creases before you set it with powder. So next I am going to powder her eyes, and I'm going to use the same contour kit, this one from Anastasia Beverly Hills that we used earlier, and this particular brush from Morphe. This is part of a set which is Eye Credible set number 702. So I am simply just using these two colors right here, just mixing them, getting rid of the excess and just dabbing it on my model's eye. And you can see how I'm lightly just brushing the powder, just so that the concealer that we've done does not crease. That's the only reason for me to do this step. Otherwise we could skip this step if you're 100% sure your client's not going to open their eyes and nothing's gonna crease. I want to build a crease. So the palette I'm going to use today is this particular one. This is the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe. It's a beautiful palette. I'm going to use this particular color right here. This is very close to her skin and her dress color. So I'm just picking this up, getting rid of whatever I don't need. Starting with the outer corner, I am just going to swirl this brush right here, and all I'm doing is trying to create a little bit of definition to her eyes. So we'll need a little bit of depth that we want to create, again taking a little bit of more of the same color. I'm trying to create that V that I usually do. So V like this on the corner, and then in circular motions I am bringing the color in. So always when I have the fresh color, I put it on the outer V, and then when there's almost nothing left in my brush, then I swirl it inwards so that the product is spread out properly. See if you can look back. I hope you guys can see how this particular eye looks more structured and nice, and this particular eye is very flat because we've not done anything. How the definition actually looks very flattering and gives the eye a particular shape. So with my model today, Akriti, here we have to kind of take this into consideration that she does have a slightly hooded eye. So I would not really call this a hooded eye, but it is slightly hooded just because this particular area of the skin is kind of drooping onto the eyelid. So that's what a hooded eye is, but she does not have a hooded eye. It's a very it's not even a partial hooded eye, it's a very slight hooded eye. So So you can see that this particular one is slightly less hooded as compared to this particular one. This skin here is slightly more. So every time when we're working on her, we'll probably need to work on darker colors on this side as compared to this side, so that there's a balance. I'll show you when we do it. So I'm taking the color again and I'm making that V that I did on the other side. And in swirling motions, when there's not much left in my brush, I am taking it inwards. So you guys can see how or what kind of difference this particular steps makes. So again, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a smaller brush, this particular one here by Morphe M506, and try to darken her crease. So to cut the crease, we need to use a darker color powder on the crease so that once we cut it, it shows. If the color is very light, then that cutting of the crease will not show. So I'll show you what I mean by it. So for now, I'll be using this particular color right here. It's a dark peach kind of a color, and getting rid of whatever I don't need. Again, starting from the outer corner as always, then bringing the color right in. At this point, you might want to stretch. So just because there is a little bit of skin that droops onto the eyelid, that's the only skin I pick. And see how I'm flicking the color out. This will give my client that proper almond shape that we're looking for. Again, at this point, the pressure of the brush has to be very light so that you're able to give her the definition that you're looking for. That's it. And once there's almost nothing left in my brush, I'm gonna pull this skin up a little bit so that it's stretched and I'm able to deposit the color in the inner corner as well. So I'm just simply taking this product inwards. I'm not taking fresh or more pigment or more eyeshadow on my brush. Whatever I have, I'm working with it. So I'm gonna take the same color and gonna work the same way on the other side. So what I'm also going to do now is once we have the wash of color that we want to put an even darker color in the crease right below where we're going to cut it, so that when we are going to cut the crease, it looks more dramatic. So the idea is to be able to very clearly see where the crease has been cut. So the brush that I'm going to use is this particular one right here. This is the pointy brush. It's by Morphe. It's in their Eye Credible set number 702. This color right here, it is slightly dark. Of course, we don't want to use such dark colors, but you'll see how this particular thing up her eyebrow a little bit so that I get the stretch that I want. And I'm trying to create the shape for her eye. So that's it. I'm taking a little bit of more color right on the tip. So you have to see how I'm picking up the color. Right on the tip, brushing off whatever I don't need, and then I use the color. Because if you don't brush off, the whole thing that actually comes off while I'm brushing it off will fall onto her skin, and that's not what we want. We've already done her base. We don't want it to be ruined. So following the line, this particular line right here, I am trying to create a darker color. So it does not matter if the darker color comes down slightly, because whatever color is right here will get covered with the concealer. But I don't want to go too high, because we've already done a lighter color and then a deeper color, and then we are doing an even deeper color. So we want all those three layers to show separately. We don't want to lose the colors. A little bit towards the camera. So again, when you're going to the inner corner, you want to be careful, and you don't want to cover this particular tear duct area. I can tell you that you have to try and use feather strokes so that you're just depositing the color at the right place. and the intensity should not be too much. When she opens her eye, you are not able to actually see this color, which is perfectly fine, not a problem. But again, that's her actual crease where we did the darker color. So close. This is the area that is actually folding, this particular area. Open. And on the fold is where this dark color will go. All right, looking at me, close. Again, wherever you can see that fold is your cue that that's exactly where you want to start this particular color. All right, so I think I'm happy with what I've done right now. However, I do feel that on this particular eye, as you can see, close, that you can see the dark color, then you can see the lighter color above it and the lighter color above it as well. However, here I can only see the dark color, and I'll use the lighter color that we used initially to give her that wash off color, getting rid of whatever I don't need, and then trying to place this color right above where we've just created that shape of the eye. So once I've placed the color, I'm going to use this fluffy brush again to give it a little bit of a swirl so that that transition shows that, you know, it's coming from light to dark. That's very important. Right, so once we've done that, what I want to do now is I want to do the cut crease, what we were actually supposed to do. So cutting the crease is a very important eye makeup that every makeup artist, every professional should know how to do it. It's very, very easy. Don't get intimidated by it. The only thing is to make sure that both the sides look as equal as possible. So I'm going to use the same concealer that was left on my palette, and I'm using this brush. This is by Forever 52 and the number is PX006. The tip, very good for cut crease. I am going to pick up the product very lightly from the tip, from both the sides, and I'll sharpen my brush like a knife. So you need to sharpen the brush. That's how you'll be able to get the crease right. So once you're done with this, you want to now see how I stretch the skin. So you want to use these two fingers, stretch the skin first from the eyebrow, then from the lid, and start placing the color. If you don't stretch the skin, sometimes you might not be able to put the color in the right position, so you want to stretch it properly. So I am starting from her tear duct, and don't give too much attention to the shape at the moment. You can fill out the top and then stretch and then do that line that you want to do. So only once it's stretched, you will be able to make that line sharp. So that's the kind of sharp line that we want. Again, we keep on taking a little bit of product every time, sharpening our brush and then working. So just like so. I can see where her skin is tight, where I don't need to stretch. I don't unnecessarily stretch, but otherwise you want to stretch. And I'm gonna follow her lower lash line. Look straight, please. I'm gonna follow her lower lash line and try to do this. So stretch a little bit and then do this. Okay, look straight, please. I hope you can see what I did. I tried to create that flick where my winged liner should be placed, and that will give me the direction, and it will tell me where to stop with my concealer, because I don't want to ruin my base. And the line that we created, just wanted to kind of go into your base. So again, the way we started with the other eye, by stretching a little bit, kind of filling the eyelid wherever necessary. And could you do a side to side? Keep your eyes closed though. Yeah. I hope you guys can see what I've done, and you have to do something similar with practice, see the right angles. Okay, come back. Perfect. Okay, so I think I'm happy at this point. What I am now going to do is I'm going to use a flat brush, this particular one right here, sorry, this one's from Morphe. It's a part of the set, Eye Credible set number 702. And what I'm going to do is I am going to use the same palette and use this particular color right here. Please see how I'm picking up the color as nicely as possible, getting rid of whatever I don't need. And then again, being very careful because I'm going to place it right here. So at this point, if you go over the line, you are going to ruin what you just did. So you don't want to do that. You want to follow the line and only place the product in the line. Only trying to place it in the first 1/3 of the eye and ensuring that I don't overlap on this line. I'm starting with the lightest color in the inner corner, and then I'm gonna move on to a darker color. The jewelry that my model is going to wear today has green beads in it, so that's how I decided on putting a little bit of green. So the green that I'm going to use in this look is from this particular palette. This is by Klara Cosmetics, and the palette is called Marrakech, I think. So this is the color that I'm going to use. This is the green that I'm going to use. This is a very close green that we've used on her eyes. Could you look straight, please? Open and look straight. Yeah, so the green in her lenses is the kind of green which we have. I'm going to start putting it right here. Okay, so again, the transition has to be seamless. We don't want you to see where the color started or ended, but we'll work on the transition later. At this point, I am only just trying to place the color and see if that's the color we want in the look. Keep on taking more product, getting rid of whatever you don't want, and then placing the product. So now also notice with these shimmer palettes that I am stretching, I am placing the color, pushing it in the skin and pulling down. So see, that's the way to apply an eyeshadow and have the maximum amount of payoff. So you can see that light green color that we've tried to place is going very beautifully with the color of her eyes. I think it looks very nice. I am going to do another layer of the same green because now I'm happy with the color that I'm using. So the next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this particular Extreme Eyes Longwear Kohl. This is by Chambor, and this is what it looks like. It is a beautiful dark green. So I am going to just put it on her lash line, very close to the lash line. So I'm not kind of doing a lot, just trying to put a liner with this product and not going to the inner corner directly. So once I've put a little bit of a line, I am going to use this particular brush that I was using. All right, so this particular thing here, I have not taken anything on my brush. I am simply just working with the product that I've put on the eyes. And now at this point, I'm going to ask my client to open their eyes. Look straight. Yeah. Okay, that way. And just your eyes up. Yeah. And at this time, I am going to make that flick so that I am going in the direction that I want to. Picking up the product from the lash line and following the line from the lash line right here and going straight. So this way. So I did not put any product on the outer corner, just on the lid right here, and I'm simply trying to smudge it out. All right, you can look straight. You guys can see what it looks like. And at this point, I'm going to ask my client to open their eyes, look that way and up. Okay, no, not with your face, just your eyes. So look straight. Yeah, just with your eyes, look that way now. So what this does is this stretches the inner part of the eye, this particular part. And once it's stretched, you can actually drag the product in that particular part. So that's very important that you stretch the part that you're working on if you're ever trying to blend something. And you can see what it looks like. To stretch that inner corner, you can also do this. You can ask your client to look down, close, no, just look down, and that way, no, just with your eyes, Hannah. Okay, perfect. So once her eyeball is looking that way, this particular area will stretch, and again you will get enough freedom to move the product and blend it out. So if you see anything that you don't need, you can use a Q-tip. Could you look up please? And get rid of it. All right. Okay, so looking straight. And since you already have a line, it's easier to follow that and do your wing. Okay, so I hope you guys can see what we've done. Fallout goes back. I want to now just step in front of the camera and see what I've done and what I need to correct. So I believe with the eyeliner, could you look at me please? I have gone slightly below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my concealer brush that I was using earlier and my palette with the concealer. Just pick a little bit, actually that's gone. Okay, there's a little bit left that I can warm up. So a little bit, could you look my way please? And try to correct that with the concealer. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. And just use the concealer slightly right here to sharpen that particular line, and it's done. You can look back and straight. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set what I did on her eyes, because unless and until it's set with the powder, this product might not stay. So to set her eyes, I am going to use let me actually try to use the same palette. So if you guys are trying to recreate the look, you guys can with one palette rather than multiple palettes. I am going to try to use this particular color, but let's see how much I like it, and then accordingly we'll see. So this particular green right here, using the same brush, and close. And I'm very, very close to her lash line because that's where the darkest color is supposed to be. This is technically just to set her eyeliner, and I think I'm happy with it. So I am going to work with the same color. Right. Now, the only thing that I want to do is I want to fill this gap. So I'm not very happy with this gap right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the Klara Cosmetics palette, this one, and use this particular color. We were using this earlier as well. I am at this point going to stop with her eyes, and I think I'm happy with what we've done. Once she looks straight, I can curl my model's lashes. So you can look down slightly. The one that I'm using is by Shiseido. It's very, very nice. I love it. Once you have the lashes in, you ask your client, is it too much? Like, can the skin, it's okay. All right. So you want to check with your client if the skin is coming in between, and if it is, then you obviously want to stop and not push. But if it's not, then... Okay, so I am going to do my mascara at this moment. And for my mascara, I am going to use this particular one right here. This is the Maybeline Hypercurl waterproof mascara. I am not very fussy with the mascaras. I literally have been using Maybelline colossal mascara, or this particular one. I use my own wand, so the brush that comes with the mascara does not really do anything for me, because I'm using these particular ones, the disposable ones. Put your tool right here close to the lash line, and then start working from the root to the tip. This particular tool that I'm using is You can find it on Amazon. You can write silicone face mask applicator and you should be able to find it. All right. So for her under eyes, what I'm gonna do is I am going to use this flat brush. This is again by Morphe, the same Eye Credible set, number 702. And I'm using this particular dark color that we used earlier. And I'm putting it very, very close to my model's lash line. So you want to be using pressing motions rather than sweeping motions. If you're pressing, it's easier and the product will not go everywhere. But if you're using sweeping motions, you might find yourself having a lot of fallout on the face. So please notice how I'm not using the color and going right in the inner corner. I am concentrating the color on the outer corner. I'm not going to use too many colors here, so I'm going to go back to this particular color from the Jaclyn Hill palette and using brush 219 by MAC Cosmetics. I'm simply just fading out the green so that there's no sharp color under the eyes. I don't want to give her a very, very sharp look under the eyes, especially because we've done a very dramatic eye. I am also going to use the color that I used on her crease. So this particular one, this is quite dark, so I'm going to use this one. This is the second color that we had used in her crease. And brushing off the excess. I'm kind of overlapping the green that I've done because I feel that the green is a little too strong and I don't want such a strong color. So you can see how I'm not too careful here. You don't really have to be. You can simply just brush, 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 and you should get what you want. And at this point, I'm just perfecting with this particular brush right here. And we are done. So I'm going to do the lashes right now. So the lashes that I'm going to use today are these particular ones. These